All right, let's continue with our review of skeletal muscles with Roman numeral 4, muscles that move the head. Now, I have to be honest, there's lots of muscles in this category. I just picked out some of the major ones, and some of these muscles we've already dissected on your cat, which you no longer have because it's in the garbage, but we'll continue from there. So muscles that move the head. Let's take a look at the first one under Roman numeral 4, which is sternocleidomastoid. Now, we did briefly visit this muscle when we were talking about naming. So this one is named for origin and insertion. Remember, sternocleidomastoid. Mastoid refers to the insertion point, which would be the mastoid process behind your ear on your skull. You guys remember that. The origin is two parts. There's two heads. Sterno is the sternum, and cleido is a prefix that refers to the clavicle. Now, in your cat, this was two separate muscles, the sternomastoid and the cleidomastoid, which was underneath it. In humans, though, this is two separate muscular bundles, but because they're wrapped with one piece of connective tissue, it's considered one muscle with two heads of origin. So let's take a look at this one. And I was looking at this through the camera before. This picture's a little dark, so you might have to pause or brighten it up a little bit. Now, the muscle we're talking about is the one that has the X's on it, and apparently you must respect the privacy of a skeleton because they blotched out his face so you don't know who he is. I mean, everybody knows that. That's the law, right? But here's the muscle with the X's on it. You can see, if I trace this with my, well, you can barely see that pen. Oh, well. There's a skin right here, and you can see that's going down onto the sternum, and then there's another part of it that runs underneath it, which is on the clavicle. But this is two bundles, one muscle, and they both come up and insert right on the mastoid process, which is behind this red part. So let's take a look at the origin. Sternum and clavicle, and you can see that in the name, sternocleido, sternum, clavicle, and the insertion point is obviously the mastoid process. Now, here's the important part. You actually have to, now you can see they already have this guy's head rotated, but if you brought his head back to the front facing us, two things you're going to notice is that the origins are definitely below the insertion point, and if you return to standard position, I mean, you can even put your finger on the center of your sternum and then put one finger on the mastoid process behind your ear. That insertion point is not only above, it's also slightly outside. You see that? So the insertion point's going to go towards the origin, which is going to be the inside of your body line and down, inside and down. Now watch, this is cool. Do you have to use these muscles at the same time? No, you have complete bilateral control. You can do whatever you want with them. So we're going to take a look at the action in two ways, okay? Ow! I wanted that to say both and then that. I'll fix that the next time. If both muscles contract at the same time, that flexes the neck. You guys remember flexion is decreasing the angle of the joint. So that's really pulling your chin and your head or your face towards the floor. You'll have to picture that because I can't jam my face in between the camera and the screen right now. I can only do my hand. Hey, cool. So flexing the neck is face to the floor. That's flexion, decreasing the angle of the cervical portion of your spine. So face down, both of them at the same time. Okay? And you can kind of grab onto those and feel that. Now, what if only one of them? Now, this is weird, and if we were in class, this would be way easier to explain to you. Okay? One of them is going to rotate or turn the head opposite contraction side. Now, turn the head, okay? Not tilt it. Not tilt it, that's different muscles. It's going to rotate the head so you can look, turn and look left or right. I'm doing that right now behind the camera. Left or right. Now, it's opposite sides, so watch. Because this origin is slightly inside the line, if part of this one contracts by itself, the head, if the right muscle contracts, the head goes left. And you can see that in this picture. When the right one contracts, head rotates or turns to the left. If the left one contracts, it'll rotate to the right. All of this due to where the origin is relative to the insertion point. Remember, the origin is down and inside, so you get flexion with both and rotation opposite contraction side if you only do one. That is the sternocleidomastoid. All right, let's do the next one. The next one is called Spinalis Capitis. Okay? Now you're going to see we've actually gone to the back of the skull, to the back. Okay? So you can see it's going to attach on the back of the occipital bone, and then it's going to come down. It's really going to have its attachment setting right on the spine and the transverse process of the vertebrae, and we'll identify those now. The origin is C7, that's the last cervical, and then T1 through T6, that stands for thoracic, and that's the upper portion of your upper back. And the insertion point is going to be the occipital bone, and you guys can see that this whole part right here is the occipital as it rolls under. Now, what does this muscle do? Okay, action. Both of them extend the neck, so that would pull the head back, and then your face goes up to the sky. Remember, flexion is face down, the opposite of that is extension, and then hyperextension through that range of motion. Now, if you only do one of them, again, it's going to rotate opposite contraction side, because you can see the lower portion of this origin, these outside fibers, are outside that line. So if the right one contracts, it turns the head left. If the left one contracts, it turns the head right. Let's take a look at the next one, number 3, still on the back, Splenius Capitis. We're just going to walk our way out here. Watch this, okay? Splenius Capitis. Now, that first one, Spinalis, was located right in that little ditch right there. So we just stepped out a little bit further. Now look, the insertion point this time is outside the margin of the origin. The origin is going to be right down the center on the spines. And it's going to originate on C7 and then T1 through T4. So a much shorter run than that last one. And then it's going to insert. Now watch this. Where's it going to insert? The occipital bone. So the very edge of the occipital bone, right there. And then on the inside of the mastoid process, right on the inside. What's this going to do? Both of them will extend the neck or pull it back. Remember, here's the insertion. It's going to go towards the spine, which makes your head go backwards. And one of them is going to rotate same side this time. So if the right one contracts, it's going to pull that insertion point towards the center line. And then the face rotates to the right. If the left one contracts, the face will go to the left. And here's the thing. I mean, this is something to consider. Why do you have muscles doing the same exact thing? So you got a muscle here doing the same thing, a muscle here doing the same thing, and then there's going to be another muscle here doing the same thing. What's the point? Oh, wait, I know, I'm the teacher. Range of motion. So you can actually turn your head farther, and I will admit, humans do not have a lot of rotational ability in our necks. We actually use our whole spine for that. Okay, and the last muscle for today in this discussion, Longissimus capitis. All right, now this is going to be odd. It's the only one in the picture that's not colored. Okay, it's this one right here, right there. And you can see it's going out to that projection, and you guys already know that one. So the origin is going to be C4 through C7, okay, C4 through C7, and then the insertion point is going to be the mastoid process. So you can see the other muscles are here now. You go, this is semispinalis, this one is, oh crap, I already forget the name, and then longissimus right next to it. What's this thing do? Action. Both of them extend the neck, so if you have both of them together, they'll pull the neck backwards, face to the sky, and one of them is going to rotate, same side contraction to give you maximum range of motion. So those are the 4 major muscles that I'm going to talk about that affect the movement of the head, and we will pick up Monday morning with the next section. So make sure you pick up the assignment and submit your work, and have a great weekend, everybody.